This is Stephen Kotler, and you're listening to Your Superior Self.
Hi, I'm Anita Murjani, and this is Your Superior Self.
This is Christina Rasmussen, and this is Your Superior Self.
Hi, Cultural Creatives. I'm Bruce Lipton, and I'm here to join you with Your Superior Self.
Hi, this is Paul Selig, and this is Your Superior Self.
What's up, everybody? I'm Aubrey Marcus, and this is Your Superior Self.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome back. I'm Trey Downs, and this is Your Superior Self. Thank you guys for taking the time to hang out with me today. Thank you for listening to this episode. Please hit subscribe and leave a rating and a review if this is your first time. If this is not your first rodeo, welcome back. I really do appreciate your support. I love all the love. I love all the emails. I love all the comments. I love everything that you guys are doing to help me scale this and help us get this out to those people that need to hear the inspiration and to hear the energy that is in these conversations, to help awaken the being that is inside all of us, that is there, that is waiting for us to awaken, that is saying, hey, I'm here, listen to me. You listening to this episode, please receive this notification that I'm here waiting for you to awaken to the power that is you. Yep, and that's what we're going to do today with author Sandra Hinojosa, Ludwig, the author of the amazing book, Chica, Why Not? How to Live with Intention and Manifest a Life that loves you back. Yeah, that's what we're going to do today. A life that loves you back, because we are so powerful. We are these divine beings wrapped in this body of flesh and bone, and cells and atoms and energy, and we need to be reminded of how powerful we truly are, because we are so amazing. I mean, we really forget that because of the programming and conditioning that we have through society, just through growing up. I mean, it is what it is. Everyone has received some type of conditioning, programming to kind of, shelter us, to make us feel protected and to make us fall in line with everything that's going on and be great workers, followers essentially. But I'm telling you, the more that you awaken, the more that you meditate, the more that you know thyself, the more that you realize how important it is to find out who you truly are and what the being is inside of you. And then you start producing great things in your life. You get to meet new people. You get to have a new mindset. You get to have a new idea about how you should be taking care of yourself physically and mentally, how you should be conducting yourself in conversations with people in your surroundings, and how you can be a better husband or father or wife or mother, either or. But I'm telling you, once you start awakening to this idea that you can change, that this life right now that you are living is a product of what and how you've created for yourself, now you can start taking responsibility for that life, and you can start realizing that you can consciously change it. You might have been unconscious. You might have been unconsciously creating your life up to this point, but I'm telling you right now, you can start consciously creating your life right now. And what does that look like? It looks like this conversation that I'm going to have today with Sandra, because her book has a great method of creating the life that you want, consciously creating the life that you want. And it has great parts in the book where you can actually write things down and do some little worksheets and workbook things, and actually get in there and break out a pencil and write some stuff down, because our focus is so much more directed towards the thing that we want when we write things down. And you can do that in this book. So here's a little clip to get you started on what's to come.
But see, I think that's the big misconception about the law of attraction. It's not about always being happy and pretending that bad things don't exist. It's about being open-hearted. It's about keeping that connection with the universe as strong as it can be. And that connection with the universe is by connecting with yourself. The universe lives within you, right? So it's by connecting with yourself.
Wow, man, that's just so powerful. connected to source. Stay connected to your source. How do you do that, though? That is the question. I am consciously creating my life now. I am consciously putting my effort into staying connected to source, to my source. And like Wayne Dyer said, you got to stay connected to the ocean. Like, you have to, in order for you to manifest and bring things into reality that you want. I am doing that. Like, I am doing the process. I'm doing the work right now. Like, I have visualizations, I have meditations. I really try to get my emotions up as far as what I want to produce, what I want to manifest. And, you know, I'll let you know when I get there. It's not going to be an easy journey. Just the way this life is. I think we're here to create. I think we're here to play in this playground of Earth. Yeah, life happens, right? But it's like, life happens because of all the crap that is basically a byproduct of the way that we were programmed. And I think that by living our lives the way that we're truly meant to live, that's where we become powerful in ourselves and be able to create the things that we want and manifest things that we want. It's just when life gets in the way. But again, life is a byproduct of everything that goes on in our daily lives, and it is what it is. It's not good or bad. It just is. And I think the more that you kind of become okay with that, and the more that you realize that your emotions are just basically gauges of where you're at on your journey. And then the more you feel bad, you know that you're way off, and the more that you feel good, you're basically doing the thing that you want to do, and you're feeling great, and that's a great direction to keep pursuing. But you're not going to feel both all the time. It's like finding that neutral balance and just being okay with that, and knowing that you're gonna have these days that you're gonna be to one side of the other, and just knowing that, you know, you gotta find, you know, your path, and you gotta create your path, I guess, essentially. I mean, if you follow someone else's path, it's not going to work out. It's not going to be the best that it can be, because it's not yours. If you're consistently working towards the thing that you want and you're creating your own path, yeah, you might get lost a couple times, but I mean, we're all going to the same place, essentially. It can be tough because you have these expectations. You look at everyone else and you feel like you're not achieving the things that you want to achieve, but it's their path. It's their goals they're trying to achieve, not yours. You'll know when it's there. You'll know when it's done. And when you know, and your heart will be on fire, and you'll just be content. And that's what I'm pursuing. I'm consciously creating the things that I want, and I'm creating my own path. And there are mile markers that I see. Sometimes it takes a really long time to see a mile marker, but I know by my emotions and by my heart if I'm going in the right direction or not. And I might have like a couple of hang-ups, or a couple of I don't know, I get lost maybe. But again, you put the basics in your life, trying to redirect yourself or get yourself back if you get lost, and that's all you can do. And you just keep going and having faith in this. You have not, all right, how do I say this? You have faith in the being that is you, that you will create the life that you want to create, and live this life and be joyous and play and have fun and be here and co-create with source. And by having faith in that, you're putting that faith back into yourself. I know it can be hard because you want to see things quickly, but again, we live in this world of reality where there is time and space, and it takes time to get to where you want to go. Everything that you look around in the entire room, wherever you're at right now, look around and know that what you're looking at first came from a thought. Everything came from a thought. And you're like, well, what about that tree out there? It's like, well, it manifested. It was manifested, really. I mean, God had a thought of a tree. Boom. There it is. And then you look at your laptop. Somebody had a thought of that. They invented that, right? You look at your car. Somebody had a thought of that. Look at an airplane. Boom. Everything. Creation, in my opinion, is a thought. A massive thought. I always joke around. The Big Bang was a thought. And it's here now. And we are here now. And we're here to create. So it's time to create. Start by picking up the book, Chico, Why Not? And learn how to live with intention. Because that's what it's about. Intention. That's where it starts. Intention. What is your intention? My intention right now is to get you to go to treedowns.com, leave me a message, let me know your thoughts. What are you up to? I love hearing your comments and messages. And then go to abandonedchildrensfund.org. That is my sacred mission. That is what I'm about, is helping others, helping children that are abandoned by their families, not necessarily voluntarily, but in dire situations where they had no other choice. This foundation helps these children come back and feel loved, give clothing, food, medical attention, medical whatever. It is their mission to make sure that these children are loved and taken care of, and that's what they're doing. So make sure you go to abandonedchildrensfund.org and make sure you spread awareness. That's all you can do. If you can't give money or time, spread awareness. That's the next best thing. All right, guys, I'm very excited. I love these types of conversations about manifestation, because a lot of people think it's about vision boards and that's it. It's so much more than that. It is something that I am actively pursuing, and I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I feel the light at the end of the tunnel. And when I get there, I promise you, I will write a book. All right. So without further ado, here is the great and powerful Sandra Hinojosa Ludwig.
Hi, my name is Sandra Hinojosa Ludwig, and this is Your Superior Self.
Chica, why not? One of my favorite
Yes.
books, Sandra. Thank you so much for coming on the show. By the way, guys, Chica, why not is her new book, How to Live with Intention and Manifest a Life That Loves You Back. I mean, you kind of manifested this book, right? Like, I mean, I feel like you used the law of attraction to get this thing going.
I did. And it's funny because when the book was launched, I posted a picture. The first time I held my book, I posted a picture of it in Instagram with an arrow saying, I manifested this.
Well, talk about your story, right? Like you have a very interesting story. You moved around a lot. I mean, you talk about it in the book. When did you start learning about the law of attraction?
It wasn't until 2006. To be honest, I went through life. I talk about an intentional life, right? And an unintentional life. I was living an unintentional life. I was just moving around, trying to find happiness. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have a similar story where you just, you're told, put your head down, work hard, get the house, get the car, and then you'll be happy. But then you get to this point where you keep doing all of those things and you're not happy. And actually, I was feeling extremely stuck. I was in a job where I felt like I should get more appreciation, but I wasn't. Even though I was working really hard, I really couldn't keep a relationship more than 4 months. I didn't have any money. And I just kept thinking, there gotta be a better way. And I was getting to a point where I was actually starting to feel really frustrated with myself. And it was a friend, that's the beginning of the book, that told me, Sandra, I think you gave up on life, because she expected me to reach all of these goals and I wasn't reaching any of them. And here I am trying really hard, and my friend thinking that I was giving up in life. I'm like, I am not. I'm actually working really hard. And but I love how the universe works. Once you kind of put your desire out there and you kind of surrender, you kind of get to that point where you say, help me out here. I have no idea what I'm doing. The universe kind of steps in, and that's exactly what it did. Within a few weeks, I heard this conversation about the CEO of the company where I was working, how he used to complain about everything. And he was a junior marketer and he used to complain about everything. And then one day he stopped complaining, and 5 years later, he was the president of the company. And I remember hearing that story, and I'm like, I wonder if it means anything. I was feeling really stuck at work. And to be honest, I was actually quite famous for complaining back then. So I'm like, is that a thing? A few weeks later, I ended up watching The Secret. That's when The Secret came out. They were on an opera, and I watched it. I was working from home that day, which is so strange because 2006, people didn't work from home back then. At least I didn't. I worked in manufacturing back then. And I watched The Secret. after the interview, I looked for the secret. I found it. I became obsessed with Esther and Jerry Hicks, and I became their biggest student. And then it all works out, right? I go online, and they are going to be in my town. I was living in Toronto, Canada at the time. They were going to be in my town like in a couple of weeks for a weekend workshop. So I signed up to that, and that was the beginning of it. That was 2006.
What was that
So
like? Like when you were in the person, like in person at a Esther Hicks seminar, like what does that feel like?
You know, I remember I wrote nonstop the whole weekend. Like I didn't want to miss a moment because it was like they were telling me something that I couldn't even believe that it was possible that I could create my own life. And here's someone telling me, yeah, you can. And I'm like, what? And I've always been one of those really good students that takes down some notes. So I have almost a whole book with my writings. I still have it downstairs. And sometimes I read it actually because I love getting back to it. But I was just amazed. I couldn't believe it. I actually ended up coming home and putting all of the notes in an email and sending it to all of my friends and being like, did you guys know this? Did you guys actually realize you can create your own life? And then I became like, I just will walk into places. I don't do that anymore. Although some of my friends might tell you I do. But I will walk into places like, hey, you know you can create your own reality? I was probably very annoying back then. But I just, it was amazing. And I still listen to their, I know Jerry passed away and Esther has been carrying the torch. I still listen to them because I learn something new every time I listen
Carrying
to them.
the torch. I like how you threw that in there, huh? You did the same thing, right? The Olympics.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking about it, but yeah, that's the thing I manifested. Here I am.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, someone born and raised in Mexico carrying the Olympic torch for Vancouver Olympics, the Winter Olympics. That was a while. That was fun too.
I would have loved to seen that. Talk about the vortex. Like I love Esther Hicks. I listen to her every morning just to keep my vibration going. She talks about the vortex, and I have a book of hers. I haven't read it yet, but can you talk about that? I mean, you took a lot of notes. Can you explain the vortex?
Yeah, so the way Abraham Hicks talks about the vortex is this place where all your dreams live. So the moment that, I will explain it that way, the moment that you desire something, that desire is immediately created and is waiting for you, is being held for you by the universe in this vortex. By the way, when I first listened to Jerry and Esther Hicks, they didn't use the terminology. They actually used to talk about, going down streams, going down the river. The vortex came in a little bit later. But basically, that's what they say. That everything that you've ever desired is being held for you by the universe in this vortex. And really, all you have to do is allow it in. Bring yourself back to the energy that is really the energy we're all living in. Bring yourself back to the energy of your desire so that you can bring it into existence. And that is our work. Our work just allow it to happen.
Though. It sounds easy, right?
It does, doesn't it? Yet I wrote a whole book about it.
It's funny. I'm reading the book, and I'm just sitting in bed reading it, looking at it. I mean, great stuff, great exercises, great visuals. You can utilize this book and basically apply it immediately to your life. And I'm sitting there reading it in bed, preparing for this. My wife walks in and she's like, Chica, why not? Is that a girl book? And I was like, babe, this is anybody's book. Like, this is amazing. You can apply it to anything, anytime, anywhere. It doesn't matter. You've done a really good job. And what I love about this book is that you actually won like I don't know if it was a contest or whatever, but for Hay House to actually publish this book, like you've done that, like you manifested that. Like, how did you do that?
I did. I never really, when I was little, I never thought I want to be a writer or I want to be an author, but then life happens, right? And like Abraham and Esther Hicks will say, you get new perspective, and with new perspective comes new desire. And I've been a fan of many of the Hay House authors for a long time. So many years ago, I made a decision that every year I was going to take a class to help me, continue to grow, learn new things like that. So in 2018, I was like, what kind of class do I want to take this year? And I went into the Hay House website, and they had the writer's workshop in Toronto. At that time, I was living about an hour from Toronto. I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that. So I went to the writer's workshop, and I learned everything about writing a book. And that was the beginning of like, maybe something I can do. And a friend of mine a couple of years ago kind of mentioned to me, Sandra, maybe you should write a book. Because by then I was a coach, and I was saying, it's always the same things where people keep getting stuck. And she's like, maybe you should write a book. So in the workshop, it was the first time that it kind of became a goal of mine, when it's like, maybe I can make this happen. And then I did what I do, which is the same thing I talk about in the book, which is I give it 110%. And then I release, knowing that the book is in my heart. The book is already out there somewhere. It's just allowing it to come to the universe, to come into my reality in the best way possible. So when I started writing the proposal, I got an editor, a professional editor, so I will do my best job possible. I actually interview about 100 Latinas. I coach and interview about 100 Latinas to put together this book. And I gave it my all and expected that would be enough. And what do you know? It was enough to win the Hay House contest.
What did that feel like when they told you that you won this?
Oh my God, I gotta tell you the story. So they say what day they're gonna announce it, right? So I'm in my day job, and in my day job I go and visit clients. So I didn't know when they would call or anything. It was early in the morning. I know California is 3 hours behind where I am. So I went to McDonald's to get a coffee, and I'm sitting there. And when I sit, I see a number that I don't recognize that called my phone, and I missed the call. Immediately I go on Google. Instead of calling back, I go on Google, like, where is this number from, right? And it's California. So I listened to my messages, and it was Rick Tracy saying, Sandra, you won the contest. Give me a call back. And I started crying, but crying of happiness, right? Like, sure. I'm like, oh my God. And there was this lady across from me in a different table. This was before Corona, right? So there was a lady across in a different table, and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I won. And then she's like, you did? Congratulations. She had no idea what I won, but she's like, congratulations. So then I called back, and yeah, I learned about it. He asked me not to tell anybody until a certain hour when they were going to announce it. So what I did is I recorded a couple of videos, and I called my husband. I called my husband immediately, obviously, to let him know. I called my best friend to let her know, and then I recorded a couple of videos because I wanted to capture the moment that I will release later in my social platform. And then I sent a message to my editor as well, saying, you were my ambassador to Juan.
That is awesome. I love how you have like your personal stories in here, and then you have like ways that you can apply it. I think I don't know if I struggle with it. I don't struggle with the idea of law of attraction. I think I struggle with the energy part, like always keeping my energy up so that way I can put that energy out. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I know what you mean. I know, because it's like, how do you, like, I can speak for myself. How do you even keep your energy up when, Corona is happening and the economy is tanking and people are losing their jobs, and, there is a war across the world. But see, I think that's the big misconception about the law of attraction. It's not about always being happy and pretending that bad things don't exist. It's about being open-hearted. It's about keeping that connection with the universe as strong as it can be. And that connection with the universe is by connecting with yourself. The universe lives within you, right? So it's by connecting with yourself. So the second part of the book talks a lot about how do you keep that alignment, right? So the first one is become curious whenever you have a feeling that's not feeling well. that's not sitting well with you, and try to understand what's the story that you're telling yourself, because chances are that is not the situation what's causing you to feel sad or angry or anxious. Is the story that you're telling yourself about that situation. And then the next step is compassion. Just love that part of you that's feeling scared, that's feeling angry, that's feeling inadequate, whatever it is, just love that part of yourself. And what I believe is about being open-hearted. It's not about just being happy. It's about being open-hearted. And I boil it down now to what is the most loving thing you can do for yourself? That is alignment. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is cry. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is take the day off. I feel sorry for yourself. But as long as you don't indulge, I talk about the difference between indulging and loving yourself and being compassionate. Indulging is staying in a feeling just because it's easier to do, just stay in there rather than move on.
Sure. The one story I do like is in your book, because I feel like I've done this before in my life, probably quite a bit actually. When you're like, you talk about how you're going to dinner, I think your boyfriend or your neighbors or your friend's house or something, and like they couldn't hear you because they were on the balcony, and like you're standing down there for like an hour or something like that, just like beating on the door, let me in, and then something happens and they come and let you in, and then like you had this energy of like, kind of like, I don't like, why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me? And like, you didn't take a step back and realize all the things that led up to that point. And we do this all the time, right? Like things happen, and you never really fully appreciate the entire situation, the entire picture. You only focus in on the pain, right? You only focus in on why you're feeling that because of this. Like they wouldn't answer the door because they were on the balcony and they couldn't hear you. So you had to stand out there and for a long time and wait for them. But there was a lot of different things you didn't take into consideration. Like, you could have left earlier. You could have done this. You could have done that. You could have done that. That was like the perfect teaching tool, I think, in this book, because I do that all the time. Like I'll sit in traffic sometimes, I guess traffic is picking up back now where I'm at in Baltimore because everybody, the vaccinations and everything, people are starting to get back into the routine. And I find myself kind of catching myself and being like, well, I mean, you could have left a little bit earlier, you could have done this, you could have done that. And, it could be an opportunity too. It could be an opportunity for you to listen to some Audible, listening to Chico, Why Not? Like, I just love that. I think that was like I loved how you made yourself vulnerable in this book.
I tried. Yeah.
Talk about that. Were you nervous about that when you put it out there?
A little bit. I think part of what made me feel good is that my mom doesn't speak English, so she won't be reading the book anytime soon.
Man.
But that's kind of like a joke, but not really. But I remember I talked to someone when I was about to write the book, and she told me she had actually made a movie about what it's like to live in two worlds. She's Puerto Rican living in mainland United States, and how she's kind of in the middle of it. And she made a movie. And I remember talking to her, and she said, I wish I had been more honest and more vulnerable in my movie. Like I will never wish I was less. I will always wish I wish I was more. And I kept that in the back of my mind all throughout. And also my editor kept pushing me to really be true to myself. And I'm so glad I did. Yesterday actually I got a message from someone that read my book. He's a Chico, by the way, not a chica. And he told me I cry all through the chapter Compassion. And I told him, you know what? I cry writing the chapter Compassion. So the fact that I was able to put all of that feeling, that belief, that lesson into the page so he could receive it, it tells me it was the right thing to do.
Sure. I'm sure you've been getting a great response from this book.
I have. I do. I get everyday messages now. It's only been out for about 3 weeks, and I get a message every day saying, "Oh, Sandra, the other day someone posted, stop writing about my life." I'm like, it's everyday stories, and everyone has their own thing, right? I say that in the book. Everyone has a thing. It's just we normally don't talk about those things, and I am glad that people can see themselves on it. And for me, it was important to talk about my Mexican upbringing, to talk about my immigration story, to talk about what it's like to grow in a Mexican family, because now I'm getting all of these Latinas saying, "Oh my God, you just wrote my story." And it just fills my heart because there are not a lot of books talking to them, right?
No, I think that's awesome. I think this is exactly what people need to hear to start them along the path of, like, being more aware about what the universe is bringing into them, like, Esther Hicks. If you listen to, people that listening to this, listen to Esther Hicks. I mean, she talks about us being powerful beings, right? Like, we are
I do, yeah.
more powerful than what we think we are, but we never believe that
Yeah.
because of the programming that we have growing up. And you talk about that in your book. But I mean, to think, like, Sandra, to think that when you were a little girl growing up, your culture, your background developed who you were. And then, like, you found out that we create our own realities because we are those powerful beings. Like, but it was hard for you to believe that at first, just because of the programming we had. Like, some people,
Yeah.
some people hear that and they don't know how to take it. Like, they don't, what do you mean I can do that? Like, what do you mean that I'm a powerful being? What do you mean that I have the universe inside of me? What does that mean? Like, that is not what I was taught, like, I think it shocks people when they first hear this. And that is why it's so important to have people like you who can write this type of story and show them that you don't have to be some special. Not that you're not special. I'm saying you're very special. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to be some big rock star, um, you know, famous person to have all these things in the world. You don't need to be the top 2% of the wealth in the world to have these things that you have the power inside of you. And I think you did an amazing job explaining that.
Thank you. And I think it comes down to, number one, I think I was ready to hear it. I don't know if I had heard this message, in my 20s, if I would have paid any attention to it. I think I used the phrase reaching the end of myself. I think when the message came to me, I was at the end of myself, where anything else that came into my life had to be outside of myself. It couldn't be, outside of what I perceived to be myself, right? It needed to be something bigger than that. And it was spirit, it was the universe that stepped in, and I'm so glad they did. And then the other thing too is, I think, the law of attraction gets really bad rep. And I think a lot of people say, "Oh, law of attraction." Like, I've heard it, but it's not about creating the house and creating the car and creating. You will get that. That's inevitable. You will get that. But it's about strengthening that relationship with yourself and with the universe, getting back to your natural set point of peace, getting back to just living a really peaceful, joyful life, and enjoying the little moments in life. Because I can't remember who I heard said this, that a joyful life is made of joyful moments, right? So
Mm.
how do you create those little moments day by day, so that one day you look around and it's like, "Oh my God, look at my life." And I also, by the way, I also believe, I call myself, I call what I try to share, I call it practical spirituality. I know there are other ways to be spiritual, like being up in a monastery, or like being, going to an ashram in India, and that is not always accessible to many of us. So I also want to say, it's about finding what works for you to strengthen that relationship with yourself and with the universe.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that, like Ram Dass would always say like, be here now, you know, like you were just saying, like, I don't have the means to go to India and go in the temple. Like I have 3 kids, you know, you think I can leave them and go, yeah, you know, but I can have my own little temple here. You know, I get up in the
Yeah.
morning and I meditate, and I go into my little ashram in the house. You know, it's my living room. And I just sit in silence and
Yeah.
listen to my breath, or I'll listen to like the ocean waves. Like I love that, man. That powerful sound of just being there, you know. And then like I'll have, I don't know, what is your method, right? Like how do you find yourself, like, or how do you go deeper into yourself?
In the silence. I do to connect in silence, and it can be meditation. It can be, the other day I was starting to feel a lot of anxiety with the launch of the book. And what I did, I told my husband, by the way, I have an 8-year-old too, right? I told my husband, you know what? I'm just going to take the day off, and I'm just going to drive to the lake. I live in Ontario. We have a lot of beautiful lakes. I'm just going to drive to the lake. And I just sat by the lake for maybe 2 hours, and I walk in the beach, and I just kind of stare at the water. And it was just what I needed to come back to myself. And for myself, what works is connecting in silence, creating those spaces where I can be by myself and just connect.
What do you hear when you're connecting? Like, what is it that the message keeps repeating?
You know, I don't really hear anything. It's more of a feeling. It's the feeling of all is well and life loves me. And it just is, I wish I could put words to it, but it's just this feeling of safety and the certainty that all works out. It will all be fine. And, you know, Abraham Hicks says, you can never get it wrong because it's never done. And I do believe that. I do believe that you can never get life wrong. You know, so it gives
life
you
is life. Life is beautiful in its own, right? Like this is
yeah.
beautiful. Like everything is happening that is beautiful, and some people disagree with that, right? Like people, even the hardships, right? Like if you can't look back on your life and see what they were for, like the lessons that you learned, then you're probably not through them right yet, you know. And there, trust me, I know that there are horrific things happening out in the world, and I get that, but it's all about it's all about life. Life is life. You know, it's 2 sides of one coin, the good and the bad, the light and the dark. Everything is inside of that. And you have to see the beauty in that, regardless of what it is. And you're right. Like, you know, we're all, like Ram Dass says, we're all just walking everyone home. We're all going to the same place, you know. I believe in reincarnation. I believe that, you know, I think does Esther Hicks talk about that? Does she? I think she talks about reincarnation.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
I listen to a lot. Like, it's funny, how, you know, how much content is out there of her. Like, I think that's all she does is ride around in that huge bus and just goes to different workshops in different cities before COVID. I don't know what she's doing now, but I listen to it, like I said, I listen to it every morning, and I believe, like, you know, I don't know. I think that what she says resonates with me. I would love to see how she gets into, like, you know, into her meditation state, you know, like the altered state of consciousness where she receives information. Did you see that at all? Did you get to witness that?
Yeah, she does it on a stage. I've seen her. Oh my God, I've seen her probably 4 times now. Yeah. She does it on the stage where she kind of gets, you know, opens her legs a little bit. So she's like really grounded. Most of the time she's not wearing shoes. She's just standing in the mat. And then she just kind of like connects and does this thing with the head where she's bobbing the head.
Was that hard for you to kind of like get, you know, in line with when she started, you know what I mean? Like, because of your belief systems growing up and your background, was it hard for you to be like, oh man, she's channeling, you know?
So 2 things. One is I was so thirsty that you could have given me anything and I would have drank it. Like I really just wanted relief because I was just living with so much pain, and I just wanted relief. And their message just resonated with me so much that I am glad I was at that point. That's what I was saying. If I had been in my 20s, I would have probably been like, oh my God, this is insane. But then the other thing too is that I grew up in Mexico, and Mexico tends to be very mystical. There is a lot of the, we have obviously the European culture, but it mixes really beautifully with the native culture, with the, Aztec, and with the,
Mayans, right? Is Mayans?
Mayans, all of the other cultures, and they tend to be very magical cultures. So growing up in a school, we always learn about all of these magical things. Even, if you see in the Mexican flag, in the middle of the Mexican flag, there is a eagle eating a snake on top of a cactus in the middle of a lake. Well, that's the story of how Mexico was founded by the Aztecs, right? Their gods told them, you're going to know where to build your city because you will find an eagle eating a snake on the top of a cactus. And they found it in the middle of the lake. So they built the city in the middle of the lake, which is now Mexico City, which is why they have such bad earthquakes. But that is such a magical story.
Sure.
And those are the stories we learn in school. So we do have access to a lot of these magical, mystic kind of stories that are part of our background. So yeah, we do, I guess, expect magic sometimes.
I think, yeah. I mean, we expect magic, but we don't expect it to come from us, right? Like we expect it, if I be good, if I live a certain way, if I'm good, then I'll see some magic, hopefully, if I pray enough, pray hard enough for that. But we never believe that it can come from us. We don't think that I'm powerful enough. I don't think that I am good enough. I don't think that I'm worthy enough to do that for myself. And the law of attraction, like, I was like you, right? Like I don't know. I think, so at first I thought it was like, bananas, like, you put up a vision board and you put a Lamborghini up in a house and blah, blah, blah. And that's what law of attraction was. And it's not that. It's like, I think the biggest takeaway was you get yourself to the point where your vibration's high enough and your energy's high enough, and you get it where you can envision it in your mind, and you don't even need it in reality. Like you already have it, right? Like that was a big thing for me. Because once you live in that state, it doesn't matter anymore. You already have it, and then the universe, Joe Dispenza talks about it. Somehow the universe brings it to you, I guess as a reward. But no, I absolutely believe that like attracts like, and you have to believe that you already have it to achieve it. And I think that like the one thing I do like about your book is how it has practices in it that people can use and write down, and like pen to paper and actually do and fill that out. How did you come up with those?
Yeah, so in my past life, I was a scientist. I guess I'm still a scientist.
Hold up. In your past life, you were a scientist. Are you talking about the life you're living now, or a previous life, different?
No, I guess the life before I became an author.
Okay. I was like, this is gonna be awesome.
Oh my God, she went there.
No, but that's awesome. I mean, have you ever done any of those types of past life regressions or anything?
I did.
Yeah, buddy.
There's this so there's this person that lives near me that does these workshops. I remember I told you that every year I take a class where I just try to kind of expand my knowledge, expand what I know. So he held this workshop very close to my house, actually. And he did a visualization. And I actually saw 3 lives.
No way.
It was so powerful. And there is one in particular that I can't get out of my mind. Like, there were two that were very powerful. One, it was just like really quickly, but the other 2, it's almost like I could see the whole life. And it was really powerful.
You gotta tell me what it is now, because now I'm like sitting on the edge of my seat. You can't just tell me you had a really powerful life, and no, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, and I'm never gonna tell you about it. No. So the first one that I saw was me living some, I guess, Middle Ages or something like that. I was very poor. It certainly looked like I had a ton of kids. and my husband was working, and then he will come, and I'm doing the cleaning. I lived in a hut. So I'm talking about Middle Ages, like maybe 1100, 1200, 1400. I think Middle Ages like 1400. It was probably even earlier than that, and there were kids everywhere. And then the husband comes home, and I could feel myself feeling tired, feeling resigned to the life that I was living, and not even thinking about what comes next. Just like it felt like life was a routine. Get up, feed the kids, clean, feed the kids, do something else, feed the kids. It was just like that life. And that person ended up, or I guess it was me, ended up dying young in child labor because she was having another kid.
Yeah.
So that was one of them. The other one, it was I don't know if she was a slave or if she was a maid, but she was someone that was working at a house. It was really silent, so I almost wonder if she was deaf because I couldn't hear anything when I was visualizing that. And I saw her seeing her husband cheating on her, and she just kind of walking away. And she worked at a house, and I saw her also sitting under a tree, which, by the way, I've always been fascinated by those trees. The willows. So she's sitting under a willow, eating some kind of nut, just eating a nut in the quiet. Like literally, it was so silent when I thought about her. And then I saw her. She died. She literally was walking back to the house carrying, I guess, groceries, like carrying stuff. And she just fell to the ground. And her feeling was one of so much peace. Like, yeah. Yeah. So that was the second one that I saw. And the third one was just very short. It was a man. He was laying down in his house in the bed. And somehow I got the idea that he worked in construction. And he was just laying down in the bed looking at the ceiling, feeling like empty almost. So yeah, that was a really powerful meditation, I guess.
Well, how did it make you feel? Like, I mean, were you disappointed? Does it relate to you now in this life? Like, I think that's,
no.
Like, that's the thing, right? Like these regressions are supposed to, like, something about them you're supposed to see right now in your life. Like, what did it resonate with you at all? Like, I mean, what was that like?
Well, also that woman that had all those kids, the husband was my husband, my current husband. So, all of them had this feeling of something missing in their lives, which is how I felt for the first 30 years of my life, even more. So I could recognize that feeling because that's exactly how I felt. But they all also, especially the woman that died in child labor, giving birth, and then the woman that died just falling to the ground, they reached that place where they just felt at peace. It's almost like that connection finally happened, right, between them and the universe. I don't know. I think a lot about that woman that fell. They used to eat under the tree because she she had that emptiness to her, but she wasn't sad. She was just at peace. It was just like she could have spent hours sitting in that tree eating those nuts, just living in the moment.
No kids.
No kid. I don't think I didn't see any kids. No.
How many kids did you think that one woman had? You said a lot of kids. How many do you think? Like 4 or 5?
Oh my God! I was literally at table, and she was feeding them out of like a giant cauldron or something like that. I don't even know how to say that. And they were like 11, 12 kids maybe.
Jeez, that is
There
a
were
lot.
tons of kids.
Wow.
I know.
Man, do you feel like you're at peace now, though? Do you feel like in this lifetime you're achieving that peace that all of those lives wanted?
I think so. I did not have the easiest childhood, and I talk a little bit about it in the book. And some of that I still carry. I mean, some of those beliefs of I'm not good enough, I don't deserve, who am I? I mean, they still come. I mean, it's a muscle that kind of has its own memory, right? But I think the difference now is that I don't always believe those stories anymore, because that's what they are, stories.
Sure.
And I am able to turn them around, not always overnight. Sometimes it takes longer, but I'm able to just observe them and question them. When the book was going to come out, about 2 months before the book came out, I started waking up at 2 a.m. with anxiety. And it took me about 3 days to figure out what was the story that I was telling myself. And I finally identified that the story I was telling myself is, you're not doing enough. Here I was, 2 a.m, waking myself up saying, you should be doing more. Why are you sleeping? You should be working right now. And I just sat with that story. And I talk about the exercise of the onion. I actually do that stuff in my life where I'm like, okay, where is the story coming from? And I start peeling the onion little by little. And at the bottom of it, it was, I'm not enough. That was the story that was coming out. And I just sat with a part of me that was really afraid, felt very inadequate. And I just give it a lot of love, because that part of me is still very much sometimes alive in me, right? So I just gotta say, it's okay. I got you. I know it feels scary. I got you.
You are enough. Trust me.
Yeah.
I mean, you've written a pretty powerful book, and Hay House published it. Not just any person. I mean, you didn't self-publish. You didn't. I mean, the Hay House. Not that there's anything wrong with any of the others. I'm just saying. Like, that's a pretty big deal. But I can understand the lack of confidence, right? Like, I mean, we all think that we don't deserve things in our lives, and there is imposter syndrome. I mean, I struggle with it quite a bit, even speaking with you, like, it's like, who am I to speak to her about law of attraction? Like, but that's just the ego. It's just that brain just, trying to mess up your day and, try to control you. Right. Like, we are just two beings connecting on an energy level about something that can help other people, and there's a beauty in that. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything but itself. But the energy that you show, right, like all the time. I follow you on Instagram. I mean, you're lightening up over there. I'm always, liking your stuff. And then the energy you have in the book, like, it puts it out in the universe. It puts it out there, and other people attract to that, right? Like attracts like. This attracts people just from the words in it. I mean, there is energy in these words. And it's only been 3 months?
It came out April 27th, so 3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 weeks. And you're getting letters every day about, or notes, emails every day about how it's affecting people's lives in a positive way. How has it changed your life so far? Like, in the 3 weeks, like, how's it changed?
when the book came out, because it was a long process, right? I started in 2018. So when the book came out, I was ready for those words to be out in the world and share them with people. I love getting those letters, but it's almost like I enjoy the manifestation. Oh my God, the day before the book was launched, I actually told anybody that wants to attend, come on over. I put a Zoom link and I dedicated this book. It was like a release of the book, which is like passing the torch now to the universe, where it's like, I've carried this book with me. I give it birth. Now it's in your hands. Now it's for you to bring it to all the women whose lives hopefully will be transformed by its message. And now my job is just to witness it, really, witness this book coming into the world. And the universe is funny because now it's like constantly dropping and giving me new ideas for the next book. So now I have all these notes on my phone, and that's actually getting me really excited.
So now that you're a Hay House author, do you stay with them? Like, will your next book be with Hay House?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping, but then again, right? That book is already in my heart, and it's already out there, and it's already happening. It's inevitable. I really hope it's with Hay House, absolutely. But I know that book will make it to the world.
So, I mean, what do you put the book out there in the universe, you let it go, you let go of it and let the universe do what it has to do. But what do you like, what do you want it to do? Like, is there something secretly that you're like, man, I really hope this is like, this is it.
Yeah.
I hope I hope Oprah puts it on her book club.
No, you know what my dream is? My dream is to reach all the people that need to read it. But, if I'm being completely honest, when I wrote this book, the people that I had in my mind were all those Latinas out there that not always, look into the spirituality of the law of attraction and things like that. And my hope was that by me being the one that is sharing this message, they'll be like, well, she is like me. She sounds like me. She looks like me. Maybe it is something I can listen to. Now, my bigger dream is for this book to also be in Spanish, because I can picture, daughters reading the book in English and then buying it in Spanish and gifting it to their moms. Like, I think it will be so powerful.
Well, you might be in trouble if it gets translated to Spanish, right? Your mom might be able to read it then.
She will read it. But I already told her what's in the book, so she knows.
That's awesome. The dream within the dream. I think that's very noble, right? Like because it's not like you want this to go out worldwide and everyone have it. You want people, the Latinas, to pick it up and become more aware, and be. You want to be that warm blanket, right? That they can peek underneath and say, like, or peek out from and be like, all right, well, maybe it's safe. I can come out now. Like I can. You want to be that blanket, that security for them. And I think that's very noble, and it's I'm the same way, because like I that's my dream, is that I want to be, I'm very blue collar. I'm very man, middle class my entire life, and I want to start allowing people through my show to like look at things differently. Like I have psychics, I have mediums, I have professors, PhDs, authors, best-selling authors, Hay House authors. I mean, everything, right? But I want them to be like, just kind of look at things like no one's looking at you. Nobody knows what you're listening to. Like, it's okay if you want to listen to a psychic. I mean, just experience it, right? Like, just be curious. Like, I want to be that spark of curiosity, for them, and be like, Trey's listening to it, or Trey's, speaking with these people. Like, it's cool. Like, let me just listen to it, see what they got to say. And then they'll pick up Sandra's book and they'll be like, you know what? Why not? I'm just going to pick it up. Trey says it's a good read. He's all about it. Let me just pick it up. And then boom, as soon as they pick it up and start reading it, they're like, I'm thirsty for more. Like, I need more. And that's when it starts. And that's when it snowballs. And that's when they start telling their friends. And that's when they start researching other things and other aspects of spirituality. And then, it's like a chain reaction. So I'm right there with you. Like I totally agree. I think that's very noble of you. I think this will help a lot of people. I think it's going to help them feel comfortable with law of attraction, right? Like, law of attraction is like a good baby step,
Yeah.
It's a
And
baby
that's the
step.
beginning of it. Yeah. The first part of the book, I call it Manifesting 1.0, right? Which is clarity, collaboration with the universe, and commitment. How do you manifest that? That's it. The first part of the book. The second part of the book is what I call Manifesting 2.0, which is now that you know how to manifest, how do you bring your energy to a place that is of connection, of peace? I really believe that, personally, I believe that what we try to accomplish in this life is not joy, it's peace. Just having peace and trust in the universe. And that's really what the second part is. And I also believe that when we came here, we were wired for that. Like we did. We still are wired for that. But, then life happens and we start to believe all these other things that have nothing to do with us.
Mm-hmm.
Like we start to believe that maybe we're not good enough, or we start to believe that certain people deserve certain things and other people don't deserve certain things. And we make all these stories in our head that they're not even true. And the invitation in the book, in the second half of the book, is okay, now let's question those stories, because the only thing those stories are doing is they are preventing us from having that full connection with, number one, who we really are, and number two, with what the universe has planned for us.
Sure. But you know how hard it is to question like your parents. Like my parents told me this. Like you think, sometimes it's hard, but you need to do it. You need to question them.
Yeah.
I'm even like to the point where you need to question, like, why not? Why can't you question certain, parts of religion? Why is it against religion to question it? Right? Like, oh, you can't question God. Why can't I question God? Why can't I say, hey, God, like, where did you come from? Like, how were you created? Like, how come, why a forever loving God, why would he torment me for asking a question? Why would he banish me to hell for eternity for questioning anything? Right? Like, if he's ever loving God, gave his own son for me, but I can't ask a question of why. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think that we should always question everything, just because it's, if it has to feel right for yourself. As long as it feels right for you, everything is subjective. Life is subjective. As long as it feels good to you, and I'm not talking about in a egotistical, I'm right way. I'm talking about in a heartfelt but high vibration, like you're resonating with it. You know that it's the right path. As long as you're okay with that, what else do you need?
Yeah, and that's what I mean, that I really believe that the law of attraction is not about being an optimist or pretend things are not happening or being happy all the time. It's about keeping your heart open, because it's only when your heart is open that you can receive. And when life happens, we learn actually to close our heart in a way to protect ourselves from pain. So yes, you might be protecting yourself from pain. By the way, that doesn't work. But then on the other hand, if your heart is closed, you cannot receive either. So yes, you cannot receive pain, but you won't receive joy either. So it's how do we bring ourselves back to keeping our hearts open through whatever is happening, right? And it's really through questioning those stories and beliefs that we have about ourselves, about the world, that we get to connect with what's our truth and what's, and I do believe as well that there is an element of what is the most loving thing I can do for myself, but also what's the most loving thing I can do for the world.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, we're all connected. So whatever expansion I create for myself, I create for the universe. But yeah, it's about really connection. If I were to put it down in one word.
Connection. I love it. Connecting. I love how we're connecting. Future best-selling author, New York Times best-selling author, how can we connect with you? How can we find out more about you?
Yeah, so you can find me in Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. I've been actually very excited about TikTok lately.
You and my wife
Um,
TikToking all the time. I tell you what.
I know. How do we live our lives before TikTok? I gotta tell you.
I'm not hating on it. I mean, she has found some amazing recipes through TikTok. I
Yeah.
never would have thought
Do you have the feta pasta?
I do not.
Oh my God, you gotta look. That's the classical TikTok recipe, the feta pasta. It's really good.
Really? Wow. I have to
Yeah,
check that
it's
out.
really good.
What's your Instagram? What's your Instagram handle?
Sandra Hinojosa Ludwig. So the same name that's in the front of the book, that's my handle, Sandra Hinojosa Ludwig.
Awesome. Sandra, last question. What do you want your legacy to be?
I would love for the next generation of Latino kids to know that they can be, do, or have anything they want that is within their reach, that actually is their birthright. And, and how do you do that? One person at a time.
I love it. I can't believe it's been an hour already. It just seems like it's 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining the show. This has been fantastic. I'm calling it here right now. Chica Why Not will be a bestseller. It is. I'm calling it. You heard it here first on Your Superior Self. Chica Why Not? How to Live with Intention and Manifest a Life that Loves You Back will be a bestseller. New York Times bestseller, Washington Post bestseller, the world bestseller, because it was written with love and energy that inspires the world. So thank you so much, Sandra, for joining the show.
Thank you so much.